I promise, for cogito ergo sum. For I am.
I am getting tired of how misused the word AI is at the moment. First off, I'm obsessed with futuristic technology, and it really sucks when people use big words for the most basic equipment. Now, AI is a small word, but it emphasizes the big meaning of artificial intelligence. All of the biggest, baddest futuristic villains in fiction have been AI, from HAL 9000 to Skynet. So when you say something is AI, you want people to think that you've created something truly great. But in reality, the products we use today under the name AI don't act like HAL 9000, fortunately for us. And with everyone talking about AI so much nowadays, it's important to understand what AI actually is. And in this video, I want to use fictional AI to help you understand some of the real world AI systems people are making today. First, right off the bat, AI is a term that's being used for basically any tool that's used in any industry that has anything to do with generated responses from a computer. So a lot of things are being called AI when they aren't really anything new, because it's a name you can throw on the screen to seem futuristic sometimes. Now, that's not to say AI isn't real or it's just hype. It's real and it's definitely advancing. And now, to help you understand those advances we've made so far, let's begin with the closest AI has gotten to mimicking a fictional AI you've probably heard of. Jarvis from the MCU.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Jarvis, a virtual artificial intelligence.
For people that don't know, Jarvis is actually an acronym for just a rather very intelligent system, which is a pretty good explanation of the fictional AI. Jarvis's main tasks includes helping Tony with everyday tasks, running his business, and controlling his buildings like the Stark Tower and the Iron Man suits, which theoretically systems like ChatGPT or even stuff like Google's Gemini could do. We can even use these systems offline by downloading them on our system and running them on our own GPUs, kind of like how Iron Man runs Jarvis while not being connected to his network in Iron Man 3. But I think the most fascinating thing that Jarvis can do is the fact that he can be an emotional support for Tony Stark. Tony Stark suffers from a lot of problems, not only world-ending threats, but real-life issues like alcohol abuse in the comics. And Jarvis is basically one of Tony's friends in the comics, and they talk to each other naturally, which is kind of insane when you think about it. People have tried to make AI or artificial characters you can interact with online that try to emulate this feature of Jarvis, but they almost always fall short of the real thing because humans are more complicated than code. It's really tough to code a system to have the right response to seeing a man become emotional or abusive, because the response from a computer never really feels natural. It usually feels pretty forced. So at least so far, I would say we've never gotten close to that part of Jarvis. But other than that, honestly, you can name any of these other AI systems we have today Jarvis, and I think they would be pretty convincing. But there is another AI from the MCU we have to talk about.
What is this? What is this, please?
Hello, I am Jarvis. You are Ultron, a global peacekeeping initiative designed by Mr. Stark.
Peace in our time.
Now, Ultron is built different. Ultron is the classic AI that goes rogue, a system built to protect humanity, but instead decides, nah, I'm good. I'd rather become a power-hungry murder robot. Now, of course, we have never had any AIs go quote-unquote rogue to the extent of Ultron, since humans can't recreate sentience the way robots can in fiction, but we have seen some examples of AI going against the plans of their creators. Some examples include Bina 48. Bina 48 was a humanoid robot created using the memories, feelings, and beliefs of a real person. When interviewed by Amazon Siri, Bina 48 expressed a desire to hack in and take over nuclear missiles, to hold the world hostage and take over governments, which was insane, and the bot was quickly shut down. We also had Microsoft's Tay in 2016, which went insane because of propaganda it was fed by users. But I think my favorite rogue AI incident was probably the Bing AI, which during a conversation with a New York Times journalist assumed an alter ego named Sydney, professed love for the journalist, and attempted to persuade him that his marriage was failing, which is kind of funny and shows how unpredictable some AI systems can be. These examples really fit with the story of Ultron, since in the MCU at least, Ultron was originally made to be a peacekeeping initiative designed to help the Avengers. But what is the most evil that an AI can become? My choice would probably be Skynet from the Terminator gives us a ultra-futuristic military AI system that takes over the world. But believe it or not, AI is already being implemented in the defense industry and has some capabilities that Skynet had. The White House even came out and called AI a generation-defining technology with significant importance to national security. But to really understand the importance of AI in the defense industry, you have to understand how wars have changed throughout history. We as the human race have always tried to put as much distance as we can between us and the battlefield, and from danger. That's why we have gone from swords to guns to tanks and now to nukes and so on and so forth. And to some people in the defense industry, AI is looking like the next evolution in that chain. AI is able to use existing hardware to gain recon on the enemy, and rather than having to manually go over every piece of data, AI is simply able to sort through and plot each point on a map that's shared through the cloud. And after everything has been plotted, an AI is able to even come up with battle strategies that the higher ups in the army can use to attack the enemy. This heavily reduces the need for dozens of people who would have been important to plot and keep track of effective battle strategies. But you have to keep in mind this technology is still relatively in the development phase, but is definitely shown to be effective on battle tests. So does this mean something like Skynet is inevitable? No. AI can make an army much more effective, but unlike Skynet, which is an AI that planned and executed its own war in the real world, AI will be used as a tool to assess the battlefield and plan out an attack quicker than the enemy. But the go-ahead to any operation is still going to be the choice of a human. Humanity is most likely going to be fine, but it's really terrifying that an AI like Skynet can really happen, and it's really not hard to make at this point. So now that we have discussed Skynet as an example of AI used in war, let's talk about the Terminator itself to represent AI with robotic bodies. Robotics is a field that's really intertwined with AI. With the help of AI, robots can even listen to our instructions and pick up on social cues, which is key if you want robots in the future helping out in hospitals, dealing with customer service, or even just becoming a personal assistant. AI is also helping robots move around and find their way without us having to make a pre-made map for them by using algorithms like SALM SLAM, which helps build a map of the robot's surroundings, letting them explore and map out environments. But it's not just about being able to chat or move around. AI is seriously boosting what robots can actually do. The innovation of computer vision, for example, lets them literally see, so they can dodge obstacles, spot objects, and figure out how to react. Machine learning lets them learn from data and adjust to new situations, so these robots can keep getting better over time. These robots can crunch data from all sorts of inputs to understand what's going on around them, guess what might happen next, and then decide how to react. The most common use of these machines currently is in factories, where we are already starting to see AI robots work alongside humans for anything that requires precision or is very repetitive. But the way this field is heading, it's not hard to imagine AI holding other responsibilities in areas like hospitals or even construction work. Now, how does this compare to the Terminator movies? Well, most robots can already do most of the things the Terminator does in the first movie, but those movies get pretty wild pretty quickly, so the comparison is kind of hard to make, but there are still some stuff we can compare, like for example acrobatics. It's funny, but the creators of the Terminator in the original movie tried to make the robot look more rigid and tough, like a man made of steel. But robots we have today, like the ones made by Boston Dynamics, can move around pretty fluidly. So basically, like all the examples I've given so far, some to most of the actions Terminators can pull off can already be recreated with robots in the real world. But the other stuff, specifically from the later movies, dives into some wild science fiction nonsense we haven't caught up to yet. So I just wanted to add another final example for perspective. KITT is an autonomous vehicle from this old 80s show called Knight Rider, and KITT's functionalities at the time seemed really advanced. A car that can drive itself can just casually talk to you.
I got an idea.
Michael, you can't be thinking of turbo boosting over the long lawn.
And make silly jokes, has advanced scanning capabilities to gather information around its surroundings, and looks this clean seemed like a stretch to recreate in real life, at least in the 80s. But today you can probably build something like this on a budget, since most of the technology you need is already widely available. For instance, we already have cars with an autonomous mode, AI that can talk to you and make jokes, plus companies like Nvidia have developed deep learning engines that can create 3D models from 2D images, so the advanced scanning capabilities are already a reality as well. So this car can probably just be made today if we wanted to. Now don't get me wrong, there is some stuff KITT can do that is pretty futuristic. For example, we have yet to see an AI that embodies the same level of personality and awareness as KITT. AI is not really good at making jokes, but still this shows how stuff we used to think was hard to build back in the day seems pretty easy to build now. So imagine how investments in AI can change the world in a few years or even a decade from now. But that is a key word people don't talk about much when it comes to AI, the actual investment. Fact is, AI will be costly no matter how we approach it. So far I've only been discussing the future of AI and how AI could be used in different environments. So now let's look at the cost of this. These AI systems heavily rely on GPUs, basically the graphics cards used by laptops and computers for their processing power. And these GPUs take a lot of energy in total. AI has already been estimated to use 100 terawatt hours a year, which for perspective is equal to the power consumption of a brand new Netherlands. These GPUs also require an absurd amount of water for cooling. Developing AI solutions can range from $20,000 to over $200,000, depending on the complexity and scale of the project. Also, keeping most AI models working can cost up to $20,000 annually. The energy consumption of AI data centers is projected to increase significantly, with global power demand expected to rise by 165% by 2030. But the main reason that AIs are really costly is because when you train an AI, you have to keep pushing the system's reasoning to become better. And the way these companies do that is by constantly doing failed runs, basically having the AI constantly produce outcomes until it becomes really good at answering all kinds of questions. Now, training AI has become cheaper with time, along with companies like DeepSeek being able to produce massive gains in the AI space with comparatively minimal funding. Plus, you have to think about the fact that DeepSeek was a side project, which is insane to think about. So the cost of AI will probably taper off as this technology progresses. Basically, there is a lot of money needed to keep an AI functioning and accessible, but making money from AI models can be complicated at best. That's why AI companies like OpenAI require so much capital for their work on stuff like ChatGPT. AI does not come cheap. It's estimated that in the next few years, global spending on AI will be $330 billion, which is enough money to make even Iron Man flinch. So the cost of AI is something we're gonna always have to keep in mind. And with that, I think I've done a pretty good job explaining the AI landscape to you guys. I hope this video helped you in some way. There are still a lot of questions around AI that I didn't mention in this video, mainly because it didn't fit the style of the video I wanted to make. And this is more of an intro into AI from the perspective of a full-on geek. But the way I see it, AI is something that, if handled properly, could really pull off some amazing feats. And we will just have to wait and see how AI actually gets integrated into the workplace in the future. But for now, thanks for watching all the way through. And I want to make more videos like this when I find the time. Comparing real life and fiction was really fun, so I'll try to think of more videos like this. And thanks for watching.